Good evening to all of you. Are you audible? Okay. So in last class, we have finished. Yes, please. Mhm. I think that it will be how many classes we have already done? Hmm? Say 10 to 12 we have completed. Okay, 12 lectures, na? So since it's 1.5 hour lecture, na? 1.5 hour lecture, it's not a 2 hour lecture. So it will take at least 7 to 8 classes more. Okay, right? Now, okay. So in last class, previous lectures we have discussed. Now you know important developments between 1870 to 1914. Are you familiar with this? What are the important developments between this period? 1870 to 1914. Okay. New imperialism was there, social Darwinism was being promoted, and aggressive nationalism in Europe. The disintegration of Ottoman Empire was taking place, and the rise of new independent states were taking place. And we have also discussed, okay, Balkan states, disintegration of Ottoman states and Balkan states. All this we have discussed, and there was one issue, basically that is reflected in the question of Balkan states. That was the issue of cultural and ethnic minorities. This issue was one of the most important issue. Okay, and cultural and ethnic minority issue, the same issue, okay, was present in the topics where we discussed the uh, attempts for the unification of Italy and Germany. Okay, again the cultural issues and the ethnic issues, it matters. Here also the same thing is in continuance. Different ethnic identities, cultural identities, when they will be bounded by the sense of unity, okay, so they will like to have a separate political identity. It means that the demand for the new nations is increasing. Obviously, nationalism was a factor that was motivating. Okay, but what is the main factor behind this? Culture, right? Cultural affinities, all these were there. And when the rights of cultural minorities were not granted by powerful countries of Europe, this became one of the reasons for First World War. We have discussed that the Serbs people were fighting for pan-Slavism. There was a all Serb movement, right? So they were fighting for this. They want their Serb identity, okay, that this should be a national identity. They also wanted a separate country for themselves, okay. And Russia and Austria both were trying to annex these territories, and both were claiming that we will be able to control these territories because, okay, of that same cultural affinities. So right to self determination was not respected by the powerful countries of Europe. Okay, they were fighting to increase their power. They were fighting to establish their dominance over the weaker states, weaker countries in the Asia region, in the Africa region. Okay, now the industrial revolution has also expanded. Okay, now industrial revolution has reached to many other countries of Europe. Therefore, new industrial needs were being demanded. Okay, and in order to fulfill these new industrial needs, these two continents, that is Asia and Africa, were, okay, presenting the most favorable conditions. And that is why more and more European countries were entering into Asia, they were entering into Africa, and they were fighting, okay, to establish their control over the territories. They were also trying to snatch territories from one another. For example, in modern India, we discussed that the British used what? A policy, and that is what? Maintaining powerful buffers on the natural frontiers. In modern India, we have discussed it. Natural frontiers here means what? We are talking about Punjab region, we are talking about Sindh region, we are talking about Afghanistan region. So why they wanted to maintain, or why they wanted to develop it as a powerful buffer? One reason is what? There was a threat. that French may invade. There was a threat that Russian may invade. Why this threat was there, that the French may invade or the Russian may invade? Because this is the time of new imperialism. The powerful countries of Europe are trying to annex new territories, and they are also trying to snatch or take away the most profitable colonies from the other claimants of power. So in this situation, when the most powerful countries of Europe were also following a system that was known as conscription system, I have discussed with you compulsory enlistment of citizens in the military services. So this will do what? This will further promote aggressive nationalism. Conscription system. People are always ready to fight war. They favor war. They talk to promote the national pride and glory of their country. And they are even validating the exploitative tendencies like colonialism and imperialism. They are validating these exploitative tendencies, and this all is not good. Okay, this all will not maintain peace. This is going to promote what? Conflict. This is going to promote war. And there was already, okay, the nations were grouped or divided into two parts. There were two rival camps in Europe. It is very clear. Okay, when Bismarck, okay, after Bismarck, the foreign policy in Germany was handled by the ruler of Germany himself, Kaiser William II, and he made some mistakes, and these mistakes, okay, proved very harmful for the peace of entire world. Okay, he could not realize the essence of the Bismarck's policy, and Bismarck did what? Bismarck did secret diplomatic ties, and that is also not good. On one side it is good, because by maintaining this secret diplomacy, what should be there, open diplomacy or secret diplomacy? Today, which kind of diplomacy the world order is following? It's open diplomacy, it's not secret diplomacy. Okay, that's why you see that when the heads of the nations meet, or when the foreign ministers or other representatives meet, okay, each and everything is in public domain. Okay, nothing is hidden from the people. There is press release in which each and everything is shared with the masses, and this is what we can say, that the sovereignty lies in the people. इसका मतलब यही है. और जहाँ पे सीक्रेट डिप्लोमेसी है, इसका मतलब आप, okay, you don't care for the sentiments of the people, you don't care for the democratic rights of the people. So Bismarck was doing this secret diplomacy, but this tendency was not good. Okay, in the age of secret diplomacy, you don't know that which nation will come in support of which nation. In this way, even you can say that minor issue can be transformed into one of the major cause of the war. First World War took place. The two group of nations, on one side there was Britain, France, Russia. On the other side there is Germany, Italy, and Austria. And later Italy will change the side. Okay, and Britain, France, Russia was further supported by US, and Russia quit the First World War in 1917 when the Russian Revolution took place. This all we have discussed. Then once the war will end, okay, so what will happen? A summit, a conference will take place, and the basic objective of this conference will be to ensure long-term peace, okay, and stability in Europe. And this conference is a conference of victorious nations plus defeated nations, and you can say that the representatives from all countries will reach here. Even smaller countries will send their representatives. Okay, so in this conference, okay, some provisions will be decided. First, it's a set of 5 different treaties that were signed with 5 different countries. I have already discussed with you, but one treaty is the most important treaty among all these 5 treaties, and that was Treaty of Versailles, that was signed with Germany. Okay, so the entire responsibility, that who is responsible for the war, will be put on the shoulders of Germany. Okay, Germany will be considered liable for the outbreak of the war, but there are some other important nations also who were in the group of defeated nations. For example, Austria and Hungary, right? So one separate treaty was signed with Austria, that was known as Treaty of Saint Germain. One treaty was signed with Hungary that was known as Treaty of Trianon. There was another country, Bulgaria. All these countries are the rival countries of Britain. Okay, they were with Germany, so they were defeated. So with Bulgaria, a treaty was signed that is known as Treaty of Neuilly. And there was another country, that was Turkey, and with Turkey a treaty was signed that is known as, okay, Treaty of Sevres. And this treaty is important. Why it's important? Because we need this treaty exactly to relate it in the modern Indian history topic. And what we see is that some nations which are part of victorious nations will play the most important role here. And what are these new nations? What are these new nations? One nation is Britain, one nation is US, one nation is, okay, France, and one nation was Italy. But yes, Italy will get some territories, but it will not meet the expectations of Italy. Got it? Italy was expecting a lot of gains, but that expectation was not fulfilled. And we can say that Italy's opinion was not given that much importance. So, and what about Russia? Since Russia quit First World War, okay, Russia was the, you can say that, one of the parties who initiated this war. So obviously the second important thing in Russia, what happened? Socialist revolution took place. And socialist revolution means what? The idea of socialism was implemented into practice. It became, you can say that, the fundamental pillar for the political system. It became the fundamental pillar for the economic system. It became the fundamental pillar for the even society and the religion. And these countries, Britain, France, US, are the capitalist nations. So they don't like, okay, the spread of socialism in Russia. Why they don't like? Because capitalism and socialism, both these ideas are completely contradictory to each other. So they don't like. And now they think that if socialism will become more and more popular in Russia, so what will happen? What will happen if socialism will become more and more popular in Russia? There is a spread that this idea, socialism, might get popular in other countries of the world. If this model will become successful, then there is a threat that this idea can become popular in the other countries of the world. This was the problem here. Got it, Ravi? Okay, this was the problem. And that's why the countries don't like, okay, Russia. But still, Russia was on their side. So they will do a favor for Russia. And what is that favor? I have already discussed with you that previously, during the course of First World War, Germany invaded some territories of Russia. And Russia will sign a treaty that is known as Treaty of Brest-Litovsk with Germany. But here the victorious nations will do a favor on Russia, and they will ask Germany that you will have to surrender all those territories to Russia which you have previously annexed, okay, during the course of First World War. So Russia will get back its territories. Italy's opinion was not given that much importance. Now there are three countries, okay, their opinion will be very much prominent. One country is US. US is represented by Woodrow Wilson. The second country is Britain. Britain is represented by Lloyd George. And the third country is France. And France is represented by, okay, Clemenceau. Okay, so these are big three, right? Basically big four minus one. Big four में Italy भी होगा, and minus one means, okay, we have just not given that much importance to the opinions of Italy. Now we need to understand that what was the outlook of this country US, what was the outlook of Woodrow Wilson, okay, what was the outlook of Britain, what was the outlook of France. Okay, first we need to understand this outlook, then we will discuss that what are the different provisions in the Treaty of, okay, Versailles that was signed with Germany. And then we will be able to understand that why do we say that the seeds of Second World War, okay, were present in the provisions of Paris Peace Treaty. Okay, so we are going to discuss in detail, okay, this entire context. Now do you understand? Clear? Okay, so now we are going to discuss. I hope you understand the entire context now. So whatever you read, just try to develop this entire development in the form of a story. So when you will make story, unnecessary facts will be removed. Okay, and it will become easier for you, okay, to retain the things. Now we are going to discuss the outlook of these three different nations, that is big three. So here we will discuss the outlook of big three. So US, the second is France, and the third is Britain. Okay, US, France, and Britain. So here we are going to discuss the outlook of US. Okay, what's the outlook of US? So देखो, US, okay, was represented by Woodrow Wilson. Here the suggestions are very much important. US is represented by Woodrow Wilson, and we all know that on what conditions US entered in the First World War. किस condition में आया था? US entered here to protect the rights of the minority, okay, for democracy, especially to emphasize on the idea of right of self determination. Okay, US did not enter to support the colonial Britain. So he will ask that I will help you, but you will have to give relaxation to the people in the colonies. Okay, that means US want what? US Woodrow Wilson here will advocate for a what? He will advocate for, read this, future peace and stability in the world. Future peace and stability. Okay, he will advocate to establish future peace and stability in the world. He will advocate here to establish future peace and stability in the world. And how it will be established? So he says that, okay, on the basis of justice and neutrality, on the basis of justice and neutrality, on the basis of justice and neutrality, we will, okay, design the provisions of Paris Peace Treaty. Okay, on the basis of justice and neutrality. Okay, it means US will present no idea of taking revenge. US does not have any intention. US does not have any intention, okay, to take revenge. US does not have any intention to take revenge from any other country. Any country. US does not have any intention to take revenge on any country. US understands it well that the war started on the question of ethnic minorities. सर्बिया वाला issue बताया था ना. So what he will say, what it will say, US will say that we must grant the right to self determination. Okay, that is the point of US. That US read this, US understands it well that the war was sparked, okay, on the question of ethnic and cultural minorities. Ethnic and cultural minorities. The war here is sparked on the question of ethnic and cultural minority. Example, Serbs' identity. We already have discussed it. It started on the question of ethnic identity and cultural identity. For example, Serb identity war इसीलिए start हुआ था, right? So US will demand that, okay, the right to self determination must be granted. The right to self determination must be granted. Okay, ethnic and cultural minorities, ethnic and cultural minorities, okay, must be given, ethnic and cultural minorities must be given, okay, their valid rights, must be given their valid rights. It means their valid demands should be acknowledged. It means that their valid demands should be acknowledged. The valid demand should be acknowledged. Clear? Valid demand of ethnic and cultural minorities should be acknowledged. Now tell me one thing. When you will acknowledge the demand of these minorities, will the new nations be formed? Yes. Will the territories of the previous nations will be altered? Yes. This was the syllabus given in UPSC. New nations, national boundaries. Okay, so this all will happen. So this is the point. Now, what is the approach of US? Imperialistic or anti-imperialistic? Colonial approach or anti-colonial approach? So the answer is anti-imperialist and anti-colonial outlooks. Write this point also. Anti-imperialist, anti-imperialist and anti-colonial outlook. Anti-imperialist and anti-colonial outlook. And what US will demand? US will demand that the right to self-determination of the people living in colonies must be granted. Okay, this is also one demand, that the right to self-determination of the people who are living in colonies, this right also must be granted. Right to self-determination for the people who are living in colonies, it also must be granted. Right? Colonies में रहने वाले लोगों के right to self-determination, it should also be granted. This is the demand. Okay. Will it have impact on the ongoing freedom movements in the colonies? Yes. Example is India, we all know. So you can write here that it had significant impact. It had significant impact. It had significant impact on ongoing freedom movements in the colonies. It will have significant impact on ongoing movements in the colonies. Okay, so can we say that US is trying to promote democratic ethos instead of territorial greeds? Yes, we can say this. So write this. US tried to promote democratic ethos. US tried to promote democratic ethos instead of territorial gains and greed. Instead of territorial gains and greeds, it's trying to promote and protect democratic ethos instead of territorial gains. Clear? Is it clear? Now, US will also suggest that we must have an international body, and that international body, okay, will be helpful in solving the disputes. Okay, it will just do what? Okay, it will help in the arbitration of the disputes. Okay, so that international order is very much important. So write this. US suggested for the formation of an international body. US also suggested for the formation of an international body or organization, for the formation of an international body or organization in the name of League of Nations. This is also suggestion of US. US also suggested for the formation of an international body or organization in the form of League of Nations, which will come into existence on 10th January 1920. Okay, it will come into existence on 20th January 1920. So you can remember 1920 only. Both have. So January 1920 you can remember. Okay, League of Nations. And this organization is for what? So this was an organization for international cooperation. League of Nations was what? An organization for international cooperation. League of Nations was an organization for international cooperation. This is League of Nations. Okay. So what is the basic idea? Basic idea is to ensure security of all. Write this. The basic idea was to ensure security of all. The basic idea was to ensure security of all, that is collective security. Collective security. What is the basic idea? That this body will do what? This body will promote collective security. Collective security. ठीक है? How collective security will come? First World War had challenged what? Security of all. ठीक है? Got it? First World War had challenged security of all. Here we are talking about collective security. Once you will be able to prevent war, once you will be able to avoid war, so you can promote what? Collective security. And this can be done by which method? So by arbitration. Arbitration. Okay. Madhyasthata. And who will do this arbitration? Third party. For example, if there is any dispute between me and Akansha, so a third party will, okay, do arbitration. And which is this third party? League of Nations. Clear? So the task is what? Arbitration. And what was the most important need of the time? To avoid secret diplomacy and to promote open diplomacy, because secret diplomacy had caused great challenges. So here the third important point was also that the objective was to promote open diplomacy. यहाँ पे objective क्या था? Open diplomacy को promote करना, right? And tell me one thing. In First World War, okay, we see that this was a great war. Great war in the sense that it had lot of impact, intensity, casualties. Okay, many nations were involved. So do you think that if, okay, we will be able to reduce arms race or reduction in armaments will also be helpful in maintaining peace? Yes. So this was also the objective, that, right, this reduction of armaments, the reduction of armaments, ये भी करना था, reduction of armaments. This was also to be done. And finally, the most important point here is that, right, this to promote social and economic cooperation between different nations. This was also an important, to promote social and economic cooperation, to promote social and economic cooperation between different nations. This was also one idea, to promote social and economic cooperation between different nations. Okay. Open diplomacy ever written? Now this the question is the same. The objective was, okay, to bring what? Peace. Okay. To establish long-term peace and stability in Europe. तो कैसे होगा? How it will be done? Do you think that League of Nations will be helpful to some extent? Yes, it will be helpful. So the basic objective of all is to establish, I have already discussed it, to establish future peace and stability in the world. Future peace and stability in the world. But tell me one thing, that League of Nations was successful in its objective or not? Why? Because Second World War, outbreak of Second World War. आपका काम था कि दोबारा वॉर ना हो, वैसा destructive war ना हो. But it happened. It means it failed in its objective. Clear? So write this point. But League of Nations failed in its objective. But League of Nations failed in its objective, right? Because Second World War started. League of Nations failed in its objectives because Second World War started in 1939. It means League of Nations failed in its purpose. Second World War started in 1939. League of Nations failed in its purpose. The idea is very simple and clear. Now, when we'll discuss what are the important events between these two world wars, we will discuss that how League of Nations failed. But one thing we must know, that The country which suggested to form League of Nations itself was not a part of League of Nations. This is also one of the reason for the failure. Okay, so you can write this. This is a very important point. Write this. Okay, US suggested to form League of Nations, but US itself was not a part of it. US suggested to form League of Nations, but US itself was not a part of League of Nations. Okay, US itself suggested for the formation of League of Nations, but US itself was not a part of it. Okay, and write this. This is one of the reasons for the failure of League of Nations. Other reasons we'll discuss later. Right? This is one of the reason for the failure of League of Nations. One of the reason for the failure of League of Nations. Other reasons we'll discuss later. This is one of the reason for the failure of League of Nations. Other reasons we'll discuss later. Now these suggestions are good or not? वुड्रो विल्सन को नोबेल पीस प्राइज मिलना चाहिए कि नहीं? Yes. So basically I have discussed important points out of 14 points suggested by Wilson. ठीक है ना? So all these suggestions, there are some other suggestions as well. I have discussed the essence of the topic. Okay, so the suggestions of Woodrow Wilson during Paris Peace Conference were codified into how many points? 14 points. And Woodrow Wilson got Nobel Peace Prize for these 14 points. These are called Wilson's 14 points formula. Okay, so write this point. This all is called Wilson's 14 point formula. इन सब को हम क्या कहते हैं? This all is called Wilson's 14 point formula. It means all suggestions of Woodrow Wilson, all suggestions of Woodrow Wilson were codified into 14 points. Sorry, 12 बोला था क्या मैंने? 14 points होगा. Were codified into 14 points, and they are known as 14 points formula. This is also very popularly known as Wilson's 14 point formula, and this is very important, okay, for the establishment of peace and order in the world, and for this Wilson got Nobel Peace Prize. Wilson got Nobel Peace Prize. और इंडिया में एक लोग थे जो कॉपी करने में एक्सपर्ट थे, नाम था मोहम्मद अली जिन्ना. When I will discuss modern India, I will discuss Jinnah also gave Jinnah's 14 point formula in the year 1929, बट बेचारे को कोई नोबेल नहीं मिला. ठीक है, उनके 14 point formula को किसी ने एक्सेप्ट नहीं किया. राइट, so that is also Jinnah's 14 point formula. Okay, you will discuss it. Now one thing, okay, League of Nations will later be replaced by which international body or organization? Very good. Okay, so we'll discuss that. Okay, now let's have a recap of some points, then I will discuss the other countries issue. And here we don't need to write anything. Basically what I am going to discuss with you, okay, US in First World War. Okay, आप देख पा रहे हो इमेज को? Okay, now we don't have to read this entire content because this is the content for the optional, so I will just highlight some important points here. ठीक है, जिसको देखना है लिखना नहीं है, बस in order to learn it better I will highlight some important points here. ठीक है ना? देखो क्या है, this is what we are discussing here. US participation, क्या हुआ? Okay, basically we are looking at this slide. US participation in First World War. I have already discussed one point that is the core of the issues, that Americans personally synthesized with Britain. I have discussed in the class now that Americans have sympathy for Britain. Why they have sympathy for Britain? This also we have discussed कि Americans की sympathy Britain के लिए क्यों थी. This also we have discussed. ठीक है. Unrestricted submarine warfare. This also we have discussed. इसको भी discuss कर लिया हमने. Unrestricted submarine warfare. I think this is not working. चलो मैं बता दे रहा हूँ. मैं बता दे रहा हूँ. Right. I think this is hanged. Just give me 2 minutes. Okay. Okay, am I audible? Okay. Okay, पहले डिस्कस कर लेते हैं, देन आई विल डिस्प्ले द इमेजेस, ठीक है ना. देयर इज सम प्रॉब्लम. ओके, सो US participated. Why US participated in First World War? I hope I have already discussed with you that why US participated in First World War. Okay, and after this First World War, the reputation of US will do what? It will increase. Okay, the diplomatic identity of US will become more powerful. This is very clear. And what about Britain? The Britain's position will become more powerful or become weaker? It will be weaker. Comparatively, it will be weaker because World War will do what? Okay, your economic resources will be exhausted. Okay, now let's discuss this second idea, and that is Britain. Okay, that what is the outlook of Britain? And here the outlook of Britain is represented by Lloyd George. Lord George. Okay, so it's very simple. What is the outlook of Britain? Represented by Lord George. So देखो, I have already told you that Britain from the very long time was following a policy of isolation, a splendid isolation. So Britain's objective is also not to take, okay, revenge or to put very harsh measures on Germany. Okay, so Britain outlook is only to make Germany weaker, so that in future Germany could not, okay, raise heads against Great Britain. क्योंकि क्या किया था जर्मनी ने? आफ्टर बिस्मार्क द रूलर developed its navy as second most powerful navy in the world, and also challenged what? Colonial, okay, aspirations of Great Britain. So that's why Great Britain will think that we should make, okay, Germany weaker, so that in future it could not give challenge to the power of Great Britain. This is the only objective of Great Britain. So write this point: Great Britain outlook. What is the outlook? Okay, so the outlook is very simple: to make Germany weaker. Outlook: to make Germany weaker, to make Germany weaker, so that in future, so that in future, so that in future, Germany could not give challenge to Great Britain, so that in future Germany, okay, to make Germany weaker, so that in future Germany could not give challenge to Great Britain. Okay, could not challenge the power, influence, and authority of Great Britain. This is very simple. But what about the people in Britain? Their idea filled with aggressive nationalism. British people में था ना racial superiority filled with aggressive nationalism. And war cost क्या होगा? War का cost क्या हो गया? Many families have lost their family members. So the people will mount pressure on Lord George. का इतना नरम रुख जर्मनी के लिए अच्छा नहीं है. We want, okay, strict provisions against Germany, because Germany is responsible for war. Finally, Lord George will be agree on three conditions to be met. The first condition was, okay, to make German naval power weaker. Completely, you can say that weaker. Okay. Second point is, okay, to take the war compensation amount from Germany, and this war compensation amount will be very high. Once Germany will pay this amount, Germany's economic capacity will be collapsed. बैकबोन ही खत्म हो जाएगा. आपकी जितनी जमा पूंजी है सब ले लो, है ना. So you cannot challenge. Second, Great Britain will diplomatically try to get a larger share from this war compensation amount. इंडिया में भी क्या करते थे? They were fighting wars and they were collecting funds from we people. They were using our revenues in fighting war. In Great Britain, they will do what? They have fought war. There was military expenses involved, and Great Britain is a country. It's like a businessman. So they will take back all the money. expenses, the military expenses. They will try to recover. So this is the focus of Great Britain. Okay, so you can write here 3 points, 3 points here. Okay, that are the most important point. Okay, and first point is to make the German naval forces weaker. To make the German naval forces weaker. That's the first point. To make the German naval forces weaker. German naval forces weaker. Right, next point. Okay. Imposing heavy war compensation amount on Germany. Imposing heavy war compensation amount on Germany. Heavy war compensation amount on Germany. And getting the largest share out of it. And getting the largest share out of it. And getting the largest share out of it. Okay, and write third point. Okay, to establish peace and order on the basis of truth and justice in the world. To establish peace and order on the basis of truth and justice in the world. Peace and order on the basis of truth and justice in the world. ब्रैकेट में लिख लेना, but without compromising the interests of Great Britain. But without compromising with the interests of Great Britain. Without compromising with the interests of the Great Britain. It means here the voice is what? Okay, mixed voice, mild also and aggressive also. And what is Woodrow Wilson? Mild. And what will be the approach of France outlook? Aggressive. No mildness, no calmness. France को तो बदला लेना था. France was motivated by the idea of taking revenge. So write the third point. Third point is France. And France was represented by George Clemenceau. France was represented by George Clemenceau. Okay. So France का केस क्या है? We all know this. यहाँ से draw this structure so that you could remember 1870-71 France was defeated by Germany. Draw this structure first so that you could relate the concepts. France was defeated by Germany. This was the case. And France had to surrender its territories to Germany. Okay, Alsace and Lorraine. France had to surrender its territories to Germany. ये भी हुआ. France had to surrender its territories to Germany. And this is what? National humiliation and insult of France. This is what? National humiliation and insult of France. जो बदनामी हुई सो हुई. अगले 20 years तक वो बदला लेने की स्थिति में नहीं था. Okay, and what we see here is that for the next 20 years, it means 1890, for the next 20 years, France was completely isolated in Europe. France was completely isolated in Europe. As a result of what? As a result of diplomatic policies and efforts of Bismarck. We all know this. As a result of diplomatic policies and effort of Bismarck. But after this period, what will happen? Isolation ended. Isolation ended. After this period, isolation ended. France will get friends. France will get friends. And now, World War took place. And at the end of the war, France was among the victorious nations. So the time has come. ठीक है कि बदला गिन गिन के लिया जाए. So the France is motivated by the idea of taking revenge. The people of France are demanding very strict provisions to be imposed on Germany. So write this point. The people of France were motivated by the idea of taking revenge, motivated by the idea of taking revenge. Right, next point. Now the next statement will make the all concepts clear here. And what is the next statement? Right, that France was determined that France was determined that Germany should be brought back to its knees. जर्मनी को घुटनों के बल लाके खड़ा कर देना. France was determined that Germany should be brought back to its knees so that in future, so that in future, so that in future, it could never raise its head, or so that in future it could never raise its head, or could never initiate another war, and could never initiate another war in future. Okay, never initiate another war. Got it? It means Wilson's ideas क्या थे? आइडियलिज्म, आदर्श, अच्छी अच्छी बातें कही गई थी. जॉर्ज क्लेमेंशू इज नॉट happy or will not favor the Wilson's ideas here. Okay, that is the read this, that France was not attracted by the Wilson's idealism. France was not attracted by Wilson's idealism. That is one of the most important thing. Wilson के idealism से France it's not attracted. France is not attracted by Wilson's idealism. France is not attracted. Got it? Okay. Now the outlook you have understood. Now what will happen? Okay. In treaty, Germany's representatives will be invited to discuss the provisions of the treaty, or invited to sign only. German representatives were invited to sign the provisions of treaty only. It was already discussed. There was no any say of these German people. उनको अपनी बात रखने का कोई मौका नहीं मिला. They were invited to sign only. It means, was it a forced treaty? Yes. Was it a one-sided imposed treaty? The answer is yes. Germany was among the defeated nations, so you will have to accept whatever has been imposed on you. So write this. Okay, the provisions of these treaties were unilaterally imposed, and the provisions of the we will talk only in context of Treaty of Versailles with Germany. ठीक है ना? We don't need to discuss all the treaties. Okay, so write this. Okay, the representatives of Germany were invited to sign the treaty only. Their opinions were not taken. The representatives of Germany were invited to sign the treaty only. Their opinion was not given importance. Okay, they were invited to sign only. Their opinion was not given importance. So it was a kind of unilaterally imposed treaty. So it was like that. It was a kind of unilaterally imposed treaty. Now we are going to discuss provisions of this treaty. Basically, Treaty of Versailles that was signed with Germany. So now we are going to discuss provisions of TOV that was signed with Germany. We have to discuss provisions of TOV that was signed with Germany. Okay. And while reading the provisions, we have to understand that the same provision, the seeds are there for the Second World War in the provisions of the treaty. Dekho. Now what will happen? There will be a war guilt clause in this treaty. Read this, war guilt clause in this treaty. War guilt clause. War guilt clause means, okay, who is responsible for initiating war? So the entire responsibility for initiating this war, the entire responsibility for initiating this war goes to Germany. Entire responsibility for this starting this war goes to Germany. It means Germany was held fully responsible. Germany was held fully responsible for this war. Fully responsible. Germany was held fully responsible. Okay. Now, this war has caused lot of damages, right? This is what economic damages. So Germany will have to pay compensation for these entire damages. That is the next important point. That this war, the Second World War, had caused damages, and now Germany was forced to pay. Germany was forced to pay compensation for this entire damage. Compensation for this entire damage. For this entire damages. Germany was forced to pay compensation for this entire damages. Clear? This is called, okay, war compensation amount or reparations of war. So that is what war compensation amount or reparations of war Germany had to pay. Clear? And the next important point is what? Okay, the amount that was decided was very high. It was beyond the Germans' ability to pay. So the amount that was decided here, was very high, right? This very high. This amount was beyond the Germans' ability to pay. It was beyond the Germans' ability to pay. This amount was very high. It was beyond the Germans' ability to pay. Okay? It was 6,600 million pounds. Germany, it was beyond the ability of Germany to pay, right? This amount was 6,600 million pound. 6,600 million pound. Okay. Now when Germany said that we are unable to pay this amount, so the victorious nation said that EMI de do. If you are unable to pay this amount, then you will do what? Okay. Okay, in installments you can pay. So this was done so that the Germany could never recover. EMI की बीमारी ऐसी होती है. If you start paying the EMIs, okay, one after another, so you can never recover. Okay, and victorious nations know this. They said that EMI though, right? So right, this Germany was forced to pay installments. If you are not unable to pay complete amount, then you will pay what? Installment. Installment दे दो. Got it? Plus Germany will say भाई installment भी नहीं दे पाऊंगा. Then the European nations will say that okay, EMI तो देते रहना तुम, just you will keep paying EMIs. If you fail, okay, तो वो जैसा आजकल चलता है सिस्टम वैसा ही होगा. But we will take one important reason from you, and that was coal rich region in Germany. That was Saar Valley. European nations, victorious nations will say that for 15 years we will exploit the coal in this coal rich region, that's Saar Valley, and we will also try to compensate our loss in that manner. वैसे भी हम अपने लॉस को कंपेंसेट कर सकते हैं. आपके यहाँ से कोल ले लेंगे, सार वैली ले लिया. Okay, that was a coal rich region. One of the reason for the economic prosperity of Germany. तो जहां से आपका पैसा आ रहा है, एंड एनर्जी का इंपॉर्टेंस था कि नहीं उस टाइम में? बताओ. एनर्जी प्लेज अ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट रोल in making any country powerful. So they took the source of energy, wo le liya. Okay, so that is also one important point, right? That okay, Saar Valley, Ruhr Valley, Saar Valley, that was a coal rich region. coal rich region in Germany. Coal rich region in Germany. That was, you can say that, center for power production. Center for power production. It was important because it was also generating revenues, right? It was one of the reason for the economic prosperity of Germany. Saar Valley. It is very important. It was one of the reason for the economic prosperity of Germany. Saar Valley. Read this. Okay. Saar Valley will be taken from Germany and will be given to France for 15 years. ठीक है. Saar Valley Germany से लिया गया and it was given to France for a period of 15 years. ऐसे लॉस कंपेंसेट हो रहा है. Saar Valley was taken from Germany and was given to France for a period of 15 years. ये नहीं. एल्सेस लॉरेन याद करो. याद है कुछ 1870-71. फ्रांस ने क्या किया था? फ्रांस हैड सरेंडर्ड its territories Alsace and Lorraine to Germany. Now Germany will have to return back the territories of Alsace and Lorraine. और ये क्यों सार देना पड़ा? आपने एल्सेस लॉरेन कब से कब तक रखा? 1870-71 से लेकर 1918 तक. तो अब आपका सार रीजन किसके पास जाएगा? फ्रांस के पास. फॉर हाउ मेनी ईयर्स? 15 ईयर्स. ये तो ऐसा नहीं लग रहा है सास बहू की लड़ाई चल रही है, ठीक है, वैसा ही लग रहा है कुछ. ओके, so this will happen. So right, next point, that okay, that Germany will return back. Germany will return back. Germany will return back Alsace-Lorraine. Germany will return back Alsace and Lorraine to France. Okay, जो इसने लिया था 1870-71 में. It will return back Alsace and Lorraine to France. Okay. Now, the next important point. Okay. Do you remember the case of Schleswig and Holstein? कुछ कहानी याद आई? Prussia fought war. How it got Holstein, then how it got Schleswig. Now, किससे लिया था? डेनमार्क से लिया था ना? So what will happen here? Read this. Schleswig will be given to Denmark. Schleswig is given to Denmark. Schleswig is what? A territory. Schleswig किसको दे दिया गया? डेनमार्क को. And Holstein, read this. Holstein given to Czechoslovakia. Holstein given to Czechoslovakia. I will discuss. Once I will finish this entire chapter, I will discuss territorial boundaries of Europe. Why there are smaller countries in the Eastern Europe? क्यों smaller countries हैं? ठीक है. Previously there were powerful empires, then there were the smaller countries. I will discuss new countries that were formed here. Now read this. Schleswig was given to Denmark. It was returned back to Denmark, and Holstein was given to Czechoslovakia. Okay. Right. Next point. Okay. Belgium also got some territories of Germany. It means some territories of Germany. I am not naming them. This was Eupen, this was Malmedy. तो इतना नहीं याद रखना, लिख लो. Some territories of Germany were also given to Belgium. Belgium को भी इसकी territory दे दी गई. Some territories of Germany were also given to Belgium. Plus, Germany had to return territories of Russia or not? Treaty of Brest-Litovsk. याद आया? That is also what Germany is returning. So read this. Germany also returned territories of Russia. Germany also returned territories of Russia. Okay, that it has got through this Treaty of Brest-Litovsk. Germany also returned those Russian territories, which, okay, it has got as a Treaty of Brest-Litovsk. Right. Okay. Right. Next point. Okay. In the western part also it lost some territories. It lost some territories which was given to Poland for making a corridor. It lost some territories which was given to Poland for making, okay, for making a corridor. ठीक है? Right, next point. Next point. Right. Danzig, Danzig, DANZIZ and Memel. Danzig and Memel, Danzig and Memel were kept under the control of League of Nations. It means ये भी किसके पास था? जर्मनी के. It was German territory. Danzig and Memel was kept. Okay. Danzig and Memel was kept under the control of League of Nations. देखो क्या है, जो city state plus port city है, that is important for trade and commerce. Danzig जो था ना, this was also one of the most important reason for the economic prosperity of Germany. ठीक है, because it was connecting Eastern Europe with the Western Europe. इन दोनों को क्या करता था? कनेक्ट करता था. तो क्या किया कंट्रीज ने? टारगेट करके जो जो एरियाज, जो जो टेरिटरीज जर्मनी के इकोनॉमिक प्रॉस्पेरिटी को बढ़ाने में हेल्प करते थे, वो सारा क्या किया? अपने पास रख लिया. फॉर एग्जाम्पल दिस Danzig. ओके, इट वाज केप्ट अंडर द कंट्रोल ऑफ लीग ऑफ नेशन. सेकेंड वर्ल्ड वॉर के बाद ये किसको दे दिया गया? पोलैंड को दे दिया गया. So here what we see is that Germany suffered what? Economic loss. This we have already discussed. It was forced to pay how much? 6600 million pound. Germany suffered economic loss. यहाँ भी economic loss है कि नहीं? Lost Saar Valley. यहाँ भी economic loss है कि नहीं? Will have to return Alsace-Lorraine. यहाँ भी economic loss है कि नहीं? When Germany will be forced to surrender what? Danzig. Economic loss है? Yes. Memel Port, economic loss है? Yes. Clear? And surrendering to your territories means economic loss. होगा कि नहीं economic loss? और दूसरा चीज क्या देखने को मिला? Territorial loss to Germany. So what these provisions of treaty are doing? Okay, creating economic loss. और वो इकोनॉमिक लॉस ऐसा है, वॉर कंपनसेशन अमाउंट ऐसा है कि जर्मनी वॉज अनेबल टू पे. जर्मनी ने हाथ खड़े कर दिए कि भैया मेरे बस का नहीं है, इतना मैं पे नहीं कर पाऊंगा. राइट, दिस वॉज हैपनिंग. नाउ व्हाट वी सी हियर? टेरिटोरियल लॉस फॉर जर्मनी. दिस ऑल्सो वी सी. दिस इज व्हाट? टेरिटोरियल लॉस फॉर जर्मनी. कितना आसान है समझना इस बात को. सार वैली, दिस इज व्हाट? टेरिटोरियल लॉस फॉर जर्मनी. Loss of Alsace and Lorraine, this is what? Territorial loss for Germany. है ना Ravi? Got it? Okay. Territorial loss for Germany. What is Danzig and Memel? Again territorial loss for Germany. This is also what? Territorial loss. Schleswig was returned back to Denmark. This is also territorial loss. Holstein was given to Czechoslovakia. This is also territorial loss. Some territories, previously they were the part of Western Prussia, were given to Belgium. This is also territorial loss. Is it clear? You have also returned those territories which you have conquered from Russia through this Treaty of Versailles. This is also what? Territorial loss. And the next important thing, Kaiser William II ने क्या कहा था? We are also going to set up colonies. तो उसने colonies भी जीते थे. He had colonies also. Now what will happen? All these colonies will be taken from Germany and they will be given to League of Nations. का League of Nations guardian है, protector है. Okay, they will design a system that is known as mandate system, and under these mandate system these colonies were put under the control of League of Nations. So all colonies were taken away. Colonies ले लेने से क्या होगा? For example, अगर आप ब्रिटेन से इंडिया ले लो तो क्या है? इकोनॉमिक लॉस प्लस टेरिटोरियल लॉस बोथ. इन द सेम वे व्हाट विल हैपन? राइट दिस. ऑल कॉलोनियल पोजीशंस ऑफ जर्मनी वे आर टेकन. दैट इज द मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट. राइट दिस. ऑल कॉलोनियल पोजीशंस ऑफ जर्मनी, all colonial possessions of Germany were taken. All colonial possessions of Germany were taken. Okay. और देखो, इफ यू विल गिव ऑल दीज कॉलोनीज टू ब्रिटेन और किसी को भी दे दोगे तो हंगामा हो जाएगा, बिकॉज यूएस इज देयर, यूएस विल सी क्या हो रहा है. ओके, this should not happen. So what will happen here, that they will design a system. And what is the system? Okay, so League of Nation will be like, you can say that, guardian. Okay, and here in this League of Nation there will be a mandate system, there will be a mandate system, and under this mandate system all German colonies were made mandates, or they were kept in the control of League of Nation under this mandate system. और लीग ऑफ नेशन क्या कहेगा, अभी हम इनको तैयार कर रहे हैं इंडिपेंडेंस के लिए. वी आर एम्पावरिंग द पीपल ऑफ कॉलोनी, एंड व्हेन द पीपल ऑफ कॉलोनी विल बी एम्पावर्ड, ठीक है, जब उनकी प्रिपरेशन पूरी हो जाएगी, ओके, व्हेन दे विल बी ट्रेन्ड इन द skill of self governance, then they will be given freedom. We are preparing them for the, ब्रिटिश भी तो यही कह रहे थे, वी आर गिविंग ट्रेनिंग टू द इंडियन पीपल. ठीक है, हम ट्रेन कर रहे हैं आपको सेल्फ गवर्नेंस में. देखो, गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया एक्ट 1935, 1919, okay, all these provisions British were claiming for what, that we are giving training to the Indian people for governance. यहाँ पे लीग ऑफ नेशन क्या कर रहा है, ओके, ट्रेनिंग. दे आर द प्रोटेक्टरेट्स ऑफ दिस मैंडेट सिस्टम, ओके, and League of Nation is helping them, so that once they are ready to govern themselves, they will be given freedom. ये simple सा idea है, without entering into the technicalities of the topic. भी देखो, अगर हम पूरी technicalities जान भी जाएंगे तो लिखेंगे कहाँ, कहाँ लिखोगे. So that's why you should know the crux of the topic, essence of the topic, which you can use and interrelate. Got the idea? Otherwise there is a lot of stuff. ठीक है, stuff तो बहुत सारा है, but we don't need to know all these stuff now. Right, next point, military restrictions on Germany. That is also very important, that military restrictions were also imposed on Germany. Military restrictions were also imposed on Germany, and this is very interesting. Which kind of military restrictions were imposed? So देखो, it was said that the maximum strength of German army will be 1 lakh soldiers. इससे ज़्यादा strength नहीं हो सकता. Okay, so write this, German army maximum strength. So it was capped here. What we see, the maximum strength of German army. So here a capping was there, it was capped, and it was 1 lakh soldiers. This is the maximum strength. It was capped 1 lakh soldiers. Okay, now right, next point, German army was not allowed to use tanks. They could not use tanks. German army was not allowed to use tanks. Okay, they could maintain only a small navy. They could maintain only a small navy with a fleet of 6 naval ships only. It was also capped. You can maintain a small navy with a fleet of 6 naval ships only. Plus, no submarine was allowed. No submarine was allowed. No submarine. कोई सबमरीन नहीं होगा. ओके, नो सबमरीन. गॉट इट? ओके, नो सबमरीन. तो आर्मी को लूडो खेलने के लिए रखा है. क्यों रखा है? देयर इज नो नेवी, देयर इज नो सबमरीन, मैक्सिमम स्ट्रेंथ इज 1 लाख पीपल. ओके, स्मॉल नेवी. और जर्मनी नेवी क्या थी? सेकेंड पावरफुल नेवी इन यूरोप. इट वाज कैप्ड, रिस्ट्रिक्टेड to 6 naval ships only. And finally, write this, the concept of DMZ was also applied. The concept of DMZ was also applied. And what is DMZ? Demilitarized zone. The concept of DMZ was demilitarized zone. Demilitarized zone. DMZ। इसका मतलब ये है कि जो सेंसिटिव एरियाज हैं उन सेंसिटिव एरियाज में 50 किलोमीटर्स zone will be declared as DMZ. It means German soldiers cannot enter in that area with arms, with arms or weapon. ठीक है, बस टहलने जा सकते हो. You cannot enter into those areas with arms and weapon because that was DMZ. अब बताओ वो 50 किलोमीटर का जोन जब आप क्रॉस ही नहीं करोगे तो दूसरे नेशंस के साथ लड़ोगे कैसे? ठीक है, if the buffer will be, so this is very important. So write this 50 kilometer area, okay, in some sensitive and strategic part. On map I will discuss which are those sensitive and strategic part. 50 kilometer area was declared as demilitarized zone. 50 kilometer area was declared as demilitarized zone in some sensitive part. This 50 kilometer area, right? German soldiers were not allowed to enter carrying weapons in these area. German soldiers were not allowed to enter carrying weapons in this area. Now I am asking you a very simple question. And what is the question? Aggressive nationalism was there in German people or not? Yes. उनके अंदर तो कुछ ज़्यादा ही था. Conscription system was there in Germany or not? Yes. So if you will impose such harsh treaties, provisions on Germany, the economy of Germany had also crippled. Germany was a part of First World War. Germany also faced the horrors of the war. Economy and everything was damaged, and still if all the burden will be put on the Germans, what will happen? Don't you think that the Germans will react? Obviously Germans will react. Okay, for example, if I committed a crime, okay, and the court is saying that Saurabh Goswami will have to pay 5 lakh compensation, 50 lakh compensation, I can give. But when you will say 50 crore rupees as compensation, I will say जो करना है कर लो, I will not pay क्योंकि मेरे पास है ही नहीं. This is the idea. I will react without caring for the consequence. The same will happen here with the German people, right? What Germans will do? Okay, Germans are unable to meet the provisions. Their economy is crippled. They are not able to pay 6,600 million pound. So there is a lot of dissatisfaction in the minds of German people. और जब लोगों में बहुत ही ज्यादा डिससेटिस्फेक्शन हो तो उस डिससेटिस्फेक्शन को भुनाने वाला एक लीडर आता है जो बहुत बड़ा लीडर बन जाता है. Here also this will happen. The people of Germany are highly dissatisfied. They want revenge at any cost. Okay, so Hitler will come and Hitler will say that once I will come to power, I will solve all the challenges before Germany. I will, okay, tear the pages, I will tear the provisions of this Treaty of Versailles and will throw it in the, okay, garbage box. का provisions of treaty को फाड़ के मैं कूड़े के डब्बे में फेंक दूंगा. Okay, once I come to power, I will take revenge of all the injustices that were done with German people during this Paris Peace Treaty. Now the German people will say that we need this leader. हमें यही आदमी चाहिए. Okay, now what will happen? Hitler will come to power. There are many other reasons that we need to understand. Okay, so the story that how Hitler emerged as a dictator in Germany and very soon how this country become that much powerful. 1919 में इतना weaker है and in Second World War 1939. Okay, कितना time हुआ है? 1920, 1939. Within 15 to 18 years, Germany will again emerge as one of the most powerful country of Europe. और Second World War में सबकी हालत खराब कर देगा जर्मनी अकेले. Okay, so how a nation emerged this much powerful in these 20 years? You can say that the people, okay, will dedicate everything for the cause of Germany, German people. ठीक है। देखो नेशनलिज्म, नेशनलिज्म में भी कैसा नेशनलिज्म आएगा, एग्रेसिव नेशनलिज्म। ओके, हिटलर विल से दैट अगर आप इंडस्ट्रियलिस्ट हो, बिजनेस करो, बट आपका पर्पस क्या होना चाहिए, अपने नेशन को एम्पावर करना, हमें बदला लेना है। ओके, so each and every citizen will start putting its effort. Okay, economic activities will be promoted, Germany economic prosperity will come, Hitler will start violating the provisions of the treaty, and the time will come, okay, Hitler will deny that we are not going to accept the provisions of treaty, and what will happen, okay, Nazism, this idea will prosper. So one country that is dissatisfied, या कितने लोग dissatisfied हैं, ध्यान से देखना, one country that is dissatisfied here is Germany, and this dissatisfaction will provide fertile grounds for the rise of Nazism in Germany and for the rise of Hitler in Germany. The dissatisfaction which is arising due to the Treaty of, okay, Versailles. In the same way, what we see, Italy is also dissatisfied. ये भी बेचारा नाराज चल रहा है. Why Italy is dissatisfied? What it expected could not get. Clear? So this dissatisfaction of Italy will provide fertile grounds for the rise of fascism in Italy. For the rise of fascism in Italy. और ये हो गई एक ideology, Nazism. This is fascism. And in Russia, which ideology is becoming popular? That is socialism. और पहले से एक आइडियोलॉजी चलती आ रही थी, दैट आइडियोलॉजी इज व्हाट, कैपिटलिज्म. नाउ व्हाट वी सी इज दैट द वर्ल्ड बिटवीन वर्ल्ड वॉर्स, the world between two world wars, and what is the phase of this period, the world between two world wars, यही टाइम है ना, the world between two world wars will see what, ideological conflict. So we need to understand what was that ideological conflict. Look at the syllabus of UPSC, what it has written. Ideologies, socialism, communism, Marxism, Nazism, fascism, different forms of socialism. This all we need to understand. Capitalism we need to understand. This is given in your UPSC syllabus. So now tell me, without reading, without studying about Germany, without reading about Hitler, how you can understand Nazism? So syllabus में तो लिखा नहीं कि you have to read about this topic. They wrote about important ideologies. So this we have to discuss. This is the micro analysis of the syllabus part. Okay. In next class, I will start my discussion first by displaying some of the maps, so that you could understand that after First World War, okay, how territorial boundaries were changed, because this is given in UPSC syllabus. Okay, national boundaries, new nations will come into existence, and in Eastern Europe you will find many smaller nations or the countries. So ये कैसे बने, right? So new nations will come after First World War also, after Second World War also. So here after First World War, which new countries came into existence, we'll discuss. Smaller countries in Eastern Europe will discuss. Okay, how Germany's territories were, okay, curtailed. The powerful Germany becomes a weaker Germany. So we'll see what, territorial expansion or reduction, territorial reduction. So this all we will discuss. First will with the map of with the help of map I will try to just locate whatever we have discussed. Is Schleswig कौन सा territory कहा गया? So you will read the notes, because Saturday Sunday the classes are off, and when I will discuss the map you will be comfortable in that class. ठीक है? Any doubt, any question, anyone of you? No? Okay, so there are 2 days. Yes, I will discuss, okay, in detail about elections, how he came to power, right? Went to jail. No, this we can know, but I hope probably from the next week on weekend also. On weekend there will be 2 exclusive sessions, okay, and some students in batch 1, that is modern Indian history, okay, they were demanding to cover social issues and social justice portion. So fully I will start this from the next week. इंडियन, हाँ, सो इंडियन सोसाइटी क्या था, वही था, ओके। सो आई विल स्टार्ट दिस फ्रॉम मंडे ट्यूसडे, इंडियन सोसाइटी, उसी में सोशल जस्टिस भी आगे, क्योंकि दोनों चीज़ें जुड़ी हुई हैं, वी कैन नॉट सेग्रीगेट बोथ दीज टॉपिक्स, ओके। सो इंडियन सोसाइटी प्लस सोशल जस्टिस अलॉन्ग विथ ऑल द करंट अपडेट्स, ठीक है। सो आई विल स्टार्ट, बट आई हैव डिसाइडेड दैट आई विल कीप दिस सेशन फॉर 1 आवर ओनली, कि आप मेरी क्लास में, फॉर एग्जाम्पल व्हेन आई विल टीच ना इंडियन सोसाइटी सोशल जस्टिस and programs and policies related to that, okay, so you don't need to do self study, okay. When I will teach, you forget that this is a part of our syllabus. I will cover each and everything, okay. So what I think is that when I will teach for 1 hour, so that 1 hour will be the total time that you will take to cover this segment. There will be no any self study part here, because I will discuss everything. We will make notes, running notes here, okay. So 1 hour session will be sufficient, because already I am taking 2 classes, okay. And once the world history will be over, I will make that session for 2 hours, okay. So right now 1 hour will be sufficient, okay, because after my class the need for reading books, okay, is not required. Reading books is not required. For example, world history class you are taking, and you will realize that when you will go to read books, the things will become more complicated. Instead of solving your problem, you will add or increase your problem, because I have already simplified everything. Whatever the best I can do, I have already done it for you, okay. तो इसमें कुछ इम्प्रूवमेंट की गुंजाइश नहीं है. Whenever you will do improvement, that will not be improvement, ठीक है, okay. So basically this is the excellent level of the classes. Nothing can be done better than this, but I hope my students can do better than this. मेरी तो क्षमता यहीं आके ख़त्म हो जाती है, okay. That's why this is the last, these are the last batches of any module that are I am taking in the interactive class format. And for, since I am recording all these sessions, so I need some students, so that the session will be more and more interactive. That's why I discuss the very purpose of my class also. नहीं तो आप लोग सोचोगे पागल आदमी है, ठीक है, खाली बैठा है. No, I am recording because I have to record a lot of things, okay. So next time I will not get the time to record history. So this is the last batch of the history that I am taking in interactive mode. That's why I am taking this in very much detail. I will cover, I am not discussing answers here. And the reason is what? I will bring a complete session on previous year questions, their analysis and answer. I will draw board work here for the answer formats, and I will also display the answer in the written format. Exactly 150 word, 160 word. क्या एक excellent answer होता है, you will get this, okay. So everything will be done, okay. So the now how many of you are comfortable in a little bit Hindi? Those who are going to attend that session, complete English or 10 or 20% Hindi is good. 10-20% तो चल सकता है ना, 10% to 20%, बिकॉज कुछ बच्चे पूरी इंग्लिश बर्दाश्त नहीं कर पाते, ठीक है. तो आई ट्राई माई बेस्ट टू कीप माई इंग्लिश वेरी सिंपल, ठीक है, क्योंकि थोड़ा सा मैं उसमें जाता हूँ तो फिर वो ज़्यादा कॉम्प्लिकेटेड होता है. आई ट्राई टू मेक माई इंग्लिश वेरी सिंपल so that it is easily understood. But I think that in social issue class I will use 10% to 20% Hindi, not terminologies, just because the concepts, to make it more natural and students could understand. ठीक है ना, आपको समझ में आएगा. जो हंसी मजाक वाली चीज़ें हैं वही मैं हिंदी में कहूँगा, और शायद उसकी वजह से आप टॉपिक को ज़्यादा बेटर समझ पाओगे. Got it? For that reason I am saying. So hopefully from Monday or Tuesday this will start. So I will share the information with you, and I think 5 students will be sufficient. So I think 5 or 6 तो हो ही जाओगे आप लोग. So send me the names so that I could make another broadcast list where I will send you the link of those classes. I will share the schedule and everything. Okay, got it? चलिए, thanks to all of you. And answer session I will take later. Answer of world history, answer of modern Indian history I will discuss later. Okay, so this I will discuss. चलिए, thanks to all of you. Welcome. Welcome.